Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Brad Queck, and I'm with Virtual IT. It's great to see so many of our valued clients and new faces joining us to explore a tool that is truly changing how we work. Today's session is all about Microsoft OneDrive. In our fast-paced world, being able to access files from anywhere and collaborate seamlessly is more critical than ever. OneDrive is not just a place to store your files, it's also a powerful tool that helps you work more efficiently and effectively. Over the next hour, our expert John Hood, the Knowledge Wave, will walk you through how to use OneDrive to its fullest potential. He's going to cover features like accessing your files on any device, working with your files across all your 365 apps, the best ways to share and collaborate with your team, and most importantly, how to manage permissions to keep your data secure. John's expertise in this area is top notch, and I know you get a lot of value from what he's prepared. So let's get started. I'll hand it over to John to kick things off.
Great. Thanks, Brad. Thanks for the introduction. Welcome, everyone. I am very excited to talk about OneDrive. And Brad actually mentioned some of the things we're going to be talking about. And I just want to reiterate what those are. And I'm going to go through some explanation and some discussion of the different parts of OneDrive. And then we're going to do some demo. So you can certainly watch. You can watch the video recording later on demand if you want to. Watch now, try it later, follow along, it's up to you. But we've got some great things to go over. We have a question panel, so please feel free, I mentioned discuss, please feel free to use the question panel as a way to interact with us. So I'm here, John, Dan's here as well, Brad's here, we're available to answer any of your questions that you might have. But some of the topics that we're going to cover hopefully will make you feel good or better about OneDrive. Talking about important things that are going to matter to you and your team, like how does it differ from personal OneDrive? It's going to be a focus of OneDrive for business and how are we going to use it at work, why it matters so much for work and for our collaboration. Now, when we talk about OneDrive, and I'll explain more about this, but it's in the cloud and it is a place to store your personal files. We can access them a number of different ways, like we can use our File Explorer if you want to use the yellow folder that we're accustomed to. But we can sync, but we can use our files in so many different ways because they're in the cloud now. And it's beyond just storage, as Brad was saying. It used to be SkyDrive, and it was just this place where we put our files. It was like a magic thumb drive in the cloud. But now it's really grown into something that is hugely collaborative. We see OneDrive everywhere across the Microsoft 365 ecosystem and every app. What used to be the Office apps, they've been renamed just Microsoft 365 apps. But we can access and interact with and save to, even share and adjust permissions from Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Our OneDrive can be accessed from there. So it's just another save location. You're going to see that blue cloud pretty much everywhere. We are going to talk about sharing and collaboration because when you have OneDrive, you can't really collaborate unless you share. So it's important to go over some best practices and how to share your files securely with trusted colleagues, and also to adjust the permission levels to grant access, but also to revoke access. And then really, what's the point, or what's in it for me type of stuff. Like, why would you want to use OneDrive and share a link with somebody instead of just sending them the file? Like if you're in Outlook, just attach the file. There are some new ways that we can work. And what I'm sharing with you today, and talking about collaborating in real time using Microsoft 365, these are things that you can do. There are many different ways to do the same thing in Microsoft, as I'm sure you know. And it all comes down to what your workflow is. So today I'm going to talk about different ways to share, ways to collaborate. Some of you may not even realize the level of permission that you can basically grant. Anything from not even being able to download it to full edit access and everything in between. So we'll go over how to manage those files. And as I mentioned, some best practices. So it's an interesting look at OneDrive. It's like an introduction. Welcome to OneDrive. this is what it is, and then I'm going to go into some of the most important features of that and some ways that you can build it into your workflow, as I was saying. I kind of joke, just because I'm showing you this way, that doesn't mean it's going to work for you specifically. But what I'm hoping for is that this will get you excited about OneDrive, maybe show you some features you didn't know about. And please use the question panel. In fact, I'm interested if you'd like to type in and just let us know, are you currently using OneDrive for business to share or to save your files even? And then what about sharing? How are you doing that? Love to hear about it. But let me go into a little bit of talk about OneDrive, and then we'll do some demo, like I said. So the big question, like, but why? This might be new for some of you, or maybe you're moving from Google to Microsoft. But think of OneDrive as your personal space in the cloud. So it's for storage and for collaboration. It's cloud-based, so what that means is we have a lot of different options, things that we can do, creating, which basically a centralized hub for our personal work files. So personal, this is where it gets a little confusing with Microsoft. OneDrive is a personal storage place, all right? OneDrive for business is the one for work. And a lot of times we just call it OneDrive. But if you log in with your work email, then you get the full OneDrive for business, which is huge. It's like a terabyte of space. Everybody gets a huge amount of space. Whereas the personal one, if you had like an Outlook.com or Hotmail address, you'd get 5 free gigabytes. Kind of like what Google does. You get a Google Drive. So that's just like consumer level personal. This is personal at work. So this is going to be important documents. You're writing policies or letters or even saving your pay stubs on there. It's just your personal stuff, but it's centralized. So what that means is you can integrate it with Word, Excel, PowerPoint. It's built right in. It's in fact baked into almost everything now. It does promote document collaboration because we're storing it in the cloud. It's the person who has the say on the sharing is the individual. We all have a OneDrive. So it promotes collaboration even though it's personal. And then we have a nice version history, which is really exciting to a lot of us, especially if you're sharing. That means you're going to have one version of the same document. If you send a PowerPoint to 30 people and you ask them, hey, can you just make a slide with your bio on it and stuff? Everybody contribute. Previously, we may have had 30 different emails coming back with all of these different versions of PowerPoint, and we had to piece it together. Consider this version history as it's following a link, and we always have a single version. In fact, we can see the other people typing in there and stuff. Pretty cool. But it's customizable. I'll show you around a little bit. You can even do cool things like change the color of folders now and drag and drop files around in the browser. You can also use it in Teams. You can also use it in Outlook, by the way. But if you're a person like me who uses Teams pretty much all day long, having your OneDrive files there is incredibly helpful. So again, it's your personal space in the cloud, storage, and collaboration. And we hear terms like OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams. To demystify it a little bit, or review for some, they're all part of Microsoft 365. Microsoft 365 is a big toolbox, and OneDrive and SharePoint and Teams are different, pretty high level tools, but they serve different purposes. All right, so you have my files in the cloud. You can have some that are private and nobody sees them. You have some that are shared and you'll see a little indicator. And you can even have shortcuts to other files that live on SharePoint or in other places. So it blends in with everything. It's kind of always there. Also, OneDrive, think of it like one individual. That person provides different types of links potentially to different people. These icons on the bottom right show like an anyone link, like an anonymous link, or one where people can only review it or comment, read only, edit, or you could make it so they can't even download it. You can really offer a link that people can share, get it out there, PDF or something exciting you want to share on LinkedIn, or something super private, and you can make it so you can control freak that document. They can't download it at all. So OneDrive is really focused on that person being in control. SharePoint, a little different. That's more like our team and org-wide collaboration and file sharing. That is about storage, yes. But the files are group files. So they're in a folder, let's say, and people, all these people might have permission to it. And then as people move in and out of the group, then they have permission to that file automatically. So that's managed by the org and by the owner, basically. OneDrive, again, that's the individual. But we're going to want to access our personal files in OneDrive and then our shared ones in SharePoint. Sometimes they blend together, so you can kind of tell based on where it's stored. But the idea is that it's easy to get to. Now, one of the easiest ways to get to it is to use Teams. Maybe you're using Teams, maybe not. But it's a communication hub integrating our OneDrive and our SharePoint and our meetings and conversations and everything. It's like a viewfinder. It kind of lays on top. I had a little transparent here because to me, kind of using this to look through and access my other stuff like a little window. But it's really my place for unified collaboration, which I like. I love Teams. You can actually view OneDrive in a number of different places. So earlier when I mentioned there are a lot of different ways to do the same thing, and maybe you don't love a way I'm showing, there's other ways to do it. You can basically look at this one interface. What I'm going to do now is talk about what's called like OneDrive Home. And you're going to have this familiar look and feel everywhere you use OneDrive. And hopefully that makes sense as we go through the hour. But this is what it might look like with some pre-populated files that you work on. And then on the left, we're going to have these different tabs, basically. And we can search, and I'll talk about all that. But this OneDrive Home view is going to be seen in the browser, in the OneDrive app that shows up in Outlook, in Teams, in File Explorer. It's a similar look, actually, on your phone or iPad. Anywhere. If you go to Microsoft365.com, Office.com, wherever your landing page is, you click on OneDrive, you're going to have the same look and feel. I'm just going to give just kind of show what this looks like first before that demo. But when you add new, this means you can upload files, you can create new files in OneDrive, you can upload folders, create new folders, or a lot of things you can add, which is great. If you create a Word document or something online, got to save it somewhere, actually puts it in your OneDrive. So as long as you're logged in with your work account, you'll be able to see this. This tab, the shared one, well, first of all, My Files. When we see this, that's going to be our basically top level for our personal files. But there's this tab Shared. And on that one, whenever somebody shares with us or we share with them, we're going to be able to access it there. I'll talk about the different types in a minute, but we would click on that and then we could see the choices. But before that, I'm just going to point out some of the noteworthy parts or tabs. Favorites. So this is going to be files you favorited across Microsoft 365. So if you click on the star and it has to do with a file, it's going to show up in that tab. There are a couple of new things with OneDrive that really push that collaboration thing more than just storage. All about the collaboration part is because you can now browse by people. That means you can filter files by who you work with on a regular basis. Like Dan and I, we work on a lot of different files together. If I filter by Dan, I can even pin those files and pin that instance so it's easy to access. But that means I can get to everything I need. I don't have to go searching for it. It makes it really easy. And it crosses. If I'm in Teams looking at it, and then I move to Outlook, I can still easily access any of the files that I need. So browsing by people, but also browsing by meetings. So if you have meetings where people share files in them, like Excel documents and stuff, PDFs, you can access those files from your OneDrive, even if they're group meetings, by clicking there, and then you'll see the list, which is really helpful. Now, SharePoint does make an appearance here. We'll see a quick access area, and you can navigate to SharePoint sites. Like we see Mountain Expansion, we see all these different teams. That's basically quick access to your SharePoint sites. So it should, in my opinion, read shared libraries, or shared documents, folders, or something, but it's quick access. So just for your awareness on that one. And then before we move on to the next slide, there's a For You area. This is AI powered. It's kind of like a Spotify playlist or on YouTube playlist. It lets you know, based on the activity, what file you are likely to be interested in, whether it's trending or whatever it might be. And this will vary by organization, but this is the kind of default out of the box. I talked about the shared view earlier. That's this tile or tab on the left. So this is going to show files that are shared with me, and there's this other tab here, by me, or with you and by you. So if you want to check and see what files have people shared with me, you can go to shared, go to with you, and you'll see those. And then by you is going to basically do a quick audit where you can look and see, oh, I'm sharing all these files with these people. And you could manage that if you wanted to revoke access. And then we have these new columns like shared by and activity. And I think these provide a lot of insight because it shows things like at mentions, which you can use in OneDrive now. Was it shared in a chat? Was it edited? Who did it? I like that transparency, that accountability. Even though OneDrive's personal, it still has all that metadata that's captured. We have the track changes and the version history and all that kind of stuff. All right, this one was kind of cool. I mentioned the people. So if we click on that, we can pin. So if I work with Alan a lot or Elizabeth, I could pin them and have other people kind of cycle through here. You can see basically the titles and the icon, but the ones you pin, you get that nice big thumbnail showing you the file type, which is great because sometimes you click on people, you're like, oh, there's the sales analysis. Click, and it's just very easy to get to. Certainly searching is awesome, but this can be a great workflow. The meetings one, this is kind of cool because it does tie to your calendar. It shows that you have meetings coming up, so that can be helpful. Like, what files do I need before my meeting? You can click and go, and it's going to have those populate. Great for collaboration, including things like loop components. Those are going to show up there, even third-party apps, any type of file, because OneDrive can handle hundreds of different file types, which is great. Pretty much any size as well. So you'll see also who's invited to the meeting, and this is all in OneDrive. Obviously way more than the storage part. We see all those shared files, and then you can even access past meetings, get to the files, even the chat, and the recordings, which is great, because then you get more context that way. I mentioned the look and feels very similar throughout. If you go to OneDrive in Teams, sure, you can click on the little tile on the left, and then that's going to open up that OneDrive app. The favorites have all sorts of new columns, like modified and activity. It just gives you a lot more information. And then you can click around and go wherever you need. And I mentioned that star is going to be the most important part. Searching and filtering absolutely improved with the newer OneDrive updates. You can search by keyword, but you can also refine the scope of your search quite a bit. You can also use type to filter as a search tool. So if I wanted to filter by service report, I can put a keyword in there. I can click PDF, and then I'm going to see only service report files that are PDFs. It's just quick and easy, and as you type, it will find those for you. I mentioned Create. I think Create is a great place to start if you're not sure how to get started. It has some really nice templates, and then it will save automatically to OneDrive, and you could manage it, move it, copy it to other places from there if you want. This new feature, folder colors, some people really love it. It's a way for us to personalize our folders. One more thing before the demo. Yes, we're good. I want to talk about this one particular workflow. It's come up many times, especially when you're maybe new to OneDrive or resisting it even. Using your File Explorer and OneDrive in conjunction is really helpful. You can sync your OneDrive. In fact, a lot of times it's already synced, like it's already been set up by your organization. You can go click on that yellow folder, and then you're going to see OneDrive. And usually it'll be OneDrive dash and then the name of your organization. If it has just plain OneDrive, that is likely the personal one. So don't get confused. Make sure it has the company name, and you should recognize the files. That should be a dead giveaway. But this way, when we sync, we can actually use our File Explorer and use Files on Demand, which is built in as a OneDrive app in Windows, and on a Mac as well, by the way. But it links to your cloud documents, the OneDrive files, and then you have these different statuses depending on how much you use that file, how big it is, and how you want to manage it. I mentioned it was customizable. So all your files ready on demand. You don't have to go to the browser and look at that OneDrive home and log in and find your stuff. If you want to just use the File Explorer, you can do that. Access it just like if it was an H drive or U drive or something. It's going to be OneDrive. You'll see your files. Now, there are different icons in that status column. If you see this little green check, that means you've opened the file. It downloaded to your computer quickly. It's actually very fast. They're all connected, even the ones that are little clouds like this one, like the blog ideas. These files don't take up space because they're connected. I just haven't opened the file yet. So since I haven't opened it, it basically says, oh, I'm not going to download it then. Let's save some space on your computer. So if you open it, it has to download it. If you know you're going to be without an internet connection, you could open it beforehand, and they probably stay. I think it's about 30 days it'll stay, and if it's unused, it kind of unsyncs. It's still connected, but it takes the file off your computer. It's a really smart app, actually. If you know you're not going to have a connection, you might want to mark your important files by right-clicking and then making them available offline all the time. That means they're going to be on your computer. They're not going to be pulled off for any reason. And then if you're offline, you can use them. When you go back online, they're going to resync. We see a couple of other icons in there, like the syncing icon and then the silhouette of a person. That means it's shared. So we have full access to the same exact files that we're seeing everywhere else in that OneDrive home view. We're just seeing it in File Explorer. And if they're taking up too much space, you can absolutely right-click and actually clean them up a little bit, save some space. So let's check it out. In the PowerPoint, we covered a lot of what the interface looks like. So what I'm going to do now is show you some demo of how we can upload, but also how we can collaborate and manage some of the permissions, because I know those are going to be important concepts to feel good about. Let me begin here, actually, with the files on demand. All right, so this, I'm going to pull over a little bit. Here we see, this is a practice environment, so we see the name of the organization and OneDrive. Now, you could get to this by going to Microsoft365.com or Office.com or wherever, whatever you type to get to that main landing page. And yes, the brand new location is m365.cloud.microsoft. But it all goes to the same place, so still use whatever URL you've always used. They're going to redirect, so you can go to Office.com. It'll take you here. Look, there's OneDrive app. I can click that, and look, it's going to take me to that same place. That's one way. The app launcher's been around for a while. That's still there, and we can get to OneDrive that way. You know, even when you create a new file online, it's got to put it somewhere. It puts it on your OneDrive. But for now, I'm going to bring that yellow folder, bring the File Explorer back up. And here, we'll just kind of compare these side by side. So what we have are folders and files. And actually, I'm going to refresh this one. There we go. I'll just maximize that. We're having our OneDrive files and folders. We're seeing the different icons I was just talking about. So this status column is new and really helpful. We see my name and the name of the organization. Just plain OneDrive, that's the personal one. But check this out. I can right-click on these files. These are OneDrive. There's a little group here, which is always keep on this device and free up space. So that means download the file or folder or keep it connected, but take it off my computer to preserve some space. Also, there's a jump list here called OneDrive. And if we do that, we can do things like share the file. So it doesn't even feel like I'm going online when I do this. I can share the file. I can copy the link to share it. I can manage access, maybe if it's already shared. I could view it online, and I can check out the version history. So I'll do view online just to show you. Look, now it's launched, and that was very fast. I launched the browser, it brought up that document, and I can see the location is Documents, which is OneDrive. There's version history, how easy this is. This is using Excel on the web. So I could view it online. Sometimes that's helpful, but I can also just double click it and use it in the full version of Excel if I want to. And I like this because that means I can use Excel the way I like to use Excel, the full version. Make sure I'm signed in. I can see here, I can see the little share icon. That's the file. It's on my OneDrive. It's shared. I can access the version history and see back in July I shared it. See, this is like the current version, and it'll let me roll back to a previous one if I want to. It'll even show the edits. It's a really helpful part of collaborating with cloud documents. This is version 3. I'm going to close it though. This is fine. We have autosave. That's a newer feature, having OneDrive. That title bar, having access there. And the other thing is in the Microsoft 365 apps, the Office apps, we can go to File. And if you choose Open, you can open from your OneDrive. Look, it shows all the Excel documents that are on my OneDrive. I could even open from SharePoint. Those show up here as quick access. But I can save as. I can save to OneDrive main folder or a subfolder. I can share from here if I want to. I go back though. Look, there's a share button way up on the top right. There are a lot of different things we can do with this file. I can share it if people don't have access yet, but I could also copy a link if I want to share that way instead of giving people direct access. I could give someone a link, since this is Excel, just to this sheet. So that's very specific and helpful. I've used that one before, a few different times actually. And I can also work together in teams. So that means it's going to basically create a Teams meeting, and then I can invite people and collaborate that way. And this is all from just regular Excel, but all OneDrive. So you can see it's absolutely more than storage on this one. If I want to manage access, I could click that, and it's actually going to give me a peek at who has access. These people have view-only access. I've shared with 19 people. I can stop sharing if I want to. And we'll get into permissions a little bit more in a few minutes, but I just wanted to show even from inside the Office apps, you can get to your share. And one more I think is interesting thing. If you do comments, you can use @mentions and even assign people tasks and follow up, have conversations when it's in the cloud. That's great. They get a notification. This is one I like to use as well. Mentioning people can be helpful. And if you mention someone who doesn't have permission, it will prompt you to actually give them permission. There we go. I'm going to close that out. Any changes I make there, they're going to be made everywhere. If I pick up my phone, you'll see that in real time too. So let's take this blog, for example. I'm going to right click. Now, this is showing Windows 11. If people are using Windows 10, it's going to look almost the same. I'm going to show you here. It's going to have this look. So you'll see this new group. If it's Windows 10, like that. But if it's Windows 11, you're going to see it as a jump list. So just to clarify that so it's not confusing. But yeah, this is still your File Explorer. If you find that, to always keep on this device, you can see it's syncing. I'll do that just for a couple files here. Always keep on this device. If I find that it's just taking up too much space, like this file. It's not big, but for example, right click and then you can do free up space. You can do free up space individually or at the folder level. You're going to right click the whole drive and actually free up space or always keep it. Now, just if you right click on your OneDrive and it's full and always keep on this device, it's going to download a terabyte of stuff on your PC. And you might not even have that much space on there. So just be aware of that. Final thing about using OneDrive this way, which I think is a really popular way to use it, is on the bottom right, you're going to see a blue cloud. And you could have more than one account. But here, this gives me the status. It tells me your files are synced. Here are the most recent ones. And there's a gear. Or I can go to settings and actually even choose which folders that I want to sync. So I'm syncing everything in this case, but you can manage it really well. Add accounts, unlink if you need to. This is definitely the spot. And if there are any syncing problems, this will help you fix those. So it's technically the OneDrive app, but you'll see any type of file in there. All right, I'm going to minimize that. And I'm actually going to move on to showing you what it looks like in the browser. Like this. When we do the creator upload, there are lots of different things that we can do. You can create folders and drag and drop files in there or move them around. And you can also browse out. But one thing that I think is great is being able to drag and drop files and folders right into the browser. We never used to be able to do this. The browser always had to be like upload things to it. But now it is actually really easy to just drag and drop either into folders or into the main area. So I can drag and drop that, and it just uploaded my blog a few seconds ago. And look, that's private until I choose to share it. Audit, Excel doc, that's shared. And I can see Nestor shared it too. It can be set up, people can share your OneDrive file. So these are things to consider, like how much control do you want to have over your documents and how are you going to share them? And kind of click through here, the shared. I love this feature. You can go to shared and see what other people have shared with you. If somebody says, hey, I shared that video with you last week, have you checked it out? You're thinking, I have no idea where it is. Go to shared and choose with you, and it might be right there. Also by you. This is going to see that I'm sharing like this employee engagement plan. Like, I didn't know I was sharing that. I can go check it and go to manage access. And it's showing me here that I created a link that I shared out. Well, I'm going to hit the little trash can and remove that link. And guess what? Anybody who had that link, it's not going to work anymore. They do have an opportunity to ask for permission because it'll still bring them to the place. Let's say you don't have access. But that's awesome. If you send a file and an email and you decide, oh, that was not the right file, you can't really take it back, but you can when you create a link. So that's just one example of how we can revoke the permission. But I'll show you how we can grant different types of permissions. And you'll see it the same way. You'll have the same permission pop up no matter where you're accessing your OneDrive. I'll show you what I mean. Minimize this. And I'm actually going to open Teams. Now, this is an example of showing the OneDrive look and feel being the same, even though I'm in Teams. I looked at it in the browser. What did we see? Home, my files shared, all these different browsing by people, pinning those people or their image in the files to the top. Any meetings would show up here, media. So this is awesome because I do spend a ton of time in Teams. I might be chatting with people, using Copilot, Planner, all my different apps here. You can access SharePoint and OneDrive files from this OneDrive tile. If you're not seeing that, you might want to click Apps or even the three dots right here. It's probably going to just show up there. And then what you could do is pin it, or I'm going to unpin it so you can see what it looks like if you don't see it immediately. I don't see OneDrive there. I click on the three dots, and I'm just going to right click it and pin it. And if I pin that, there we go. I use this one a lot, so I recommend, if you do, drag that up to the top. It just makes it easier to get to your files. This is my favorite way, except for File Explorer, if I'm not in Teams. But if I'm in Teams already, click here. I've got access to all of my files. Look, there's my blog file right there. Still private. And I've got a lot of different things I can do. And so, let me just point out, if you're using OneDrive a lot, I mentioned pinning it. But if you right click, you can actually open your OneDrive in a new window, and you can have that off on another screen or something, or split the screen. So what that means is a big concern of a lot of people. If you're in something in Teams, you can't really go chat because that window goes away. Right? But if you actually pop that out as its own window like this, then you could have that up on the side all day long if you wanted to. Just like your little portal, even though it's Teams, into OneDrive. It's everything like creating, uploading, dragging and dropping files and uploading them. Pretty cool. I like that ability, especially if you have multiple monitors. Go back to OneDrive here. So let's talk about how we could actually interact with a OneDrive file here in Teams. So I do have this my blog file, but let's just say I'm going to click on Create or Upload, and I'm just going to create a Word document. It's going to ask me to name it here. So I'm going to call this one October blog, and it's DOCX create. So I just created using Word on the web, automatically saved it to OneDrive, even though I'm in Teams. So now it's like Teams is acting like my browser. Everything I have, everything I need is right here. So I've got Word. I click here, I can see it's in this location. I've got my version history and everything turned on, which is cool. And I'm going to just type in fake text, just populate it with something. And it automatically saved for me. So this is great because I'm going to minimize that. Let's say I walk away. I'm going to come back. And use that to show how we have a single version. I'm opening OneDrive in my Outlook now. See, I'm in Outlook, and I have the OneDrive tile here, just like I had in Teams. We're seeing that tile everywhere now. So if you're in Outlook, you can click on that tile, and I can go to my files. Of course, this is the same OneDrive home look. And look, there's October blog. I can open it. I can work on it. This time I'm looking at it in the browser. I could look at it in the full version of Word. That's what I mean. If you're thinking, I don't want to use it in the browser, I don't want to use it in Teams, that's fine. You can actually set your default experience to even have it open in the desktop. So look, now I have the same exact file, and I can even see I'm in there a couple of times. Different instances of it, but check it out. However I want to use it, it's absolutely going to work. Now, I've created this. I'm actually going to close this, and right now I'm pulling up OneDrive, and I'm going to share the file. So let's talk about different things that we can do, in this case, like with a Word document. October blog. I can see it's private, haven't shared it yet. If I check next to that, the radio button, on the top navigation bar, I can see I can open it in the browser. I can open it in the app, which is Office. I can open it in Immersive Reader, so it'll read it to me and do translation and all sorts of different cool accessibility features. I can uncheck it. I can share. If I click that, it's going to give me this dialog box pop up that I'm going to see no matter where I share. I'm going to see the same one where I can add a person's name inside my company or outside, a group. If you're going to add someone outside the organization, you need to add their email, but otherwise you could start typing their name and that'll work. It's going to reach to your directory. You can choose to let them edit. Maybe they can just review only if it's Word. They can view only, or they can even download. Those are different choices. Right now, I'm giving basically direct access to Lynn. All right, so I'm just going to say, can you please approve this? And I'm going to send that off to her. Let me show you what that might look like from her perspective, because I think that's always good to see. She's going to get an email. So I've invited her. And this is what it'll look like. So here we're Lynn. And she would see this. John Hood shared October blog with you. Can you proof this? This is great. So she can open it. She could reshare it if she wanted to. But I would have to grant permission. But let's just say she opens it. It's using Word on the web in this case. So maybe she makes some changes. Let me show you what we're going to see here. You'll see I'm in there a couple of times. Lynn may go in and make some changes. Maybe make this bold and a title. And we're going to see all that happening in real time. And if I type, this is real time collaboration between time and space, we're seeing that. And if you're not sure who's in there, you see a little picture of who it is and where they are. I love it. It's a great way to collaborate. You've got the one version, and that's basically what Lynn is going to see. All right, so let's go back here. There's that October blog. I basically gave her direct access by choosing share. Now there's another way to share, which is copy link. This one's a little different. I'm going to click. Now with copy link, we can see in this case the default is anyone with the link can edit. That's not always what you want, and the default at your organization might be different. So just pay attention to that part. But I chose copy link. So instead of giving someone direct access, we can give them a link to the file. And we can manage it a little differently. Basically, it's like, do you want someone to have long-term access to it, or maybe just shorter term? Because when you create a link, you can make like a password. Anyone with the link can edit. That's actually an anonymous link, which is not the most secure way. So if you want to change that, so it just created this link and I could copy it and anybody could go to it. They don't have to have a Microsoft account. They don't even have to be logged in and they can still edit. So it's a super broad permission. If you want to ratchet things down a little bit, not anyone, choose settings. That's going to take you to the link settings area and we can actually modify and create new links if they're going to be better. So the anyone link, this means we can share with anyone. We can say, well, I want to share with anyone, but review only, view only, can't download. You can make it safer if you want to. You can even set an expiration date, which is helpful because if you only want to give access for a certain amount of time, you can have it auto revoke, and you can even gate it so there's a password, and that's helpful too. Like if you wanted to share a promotional video or something like that, you could send the link and have it password protected. That means people can share it as long as they know the password. Others recipients can use it. The other one, people in Contoso, but this is basically people inside your work organization. People can forward the link that you create to anybody else as long as they have a work account at your org. This one's a reshare. This is basically only people with existing access. I could apply that, and it's going to create a reshare for even that direct access to Lynn that we did. And then this is the safest option, people you choose. So this can be people inside the org, outside the org. I could even, so I'll choose Alex, and I can add Lynn here as well. because I could create a different type of link for different groups of people, whatever their role might be. Or I could just do one off like that. It's up to you. But I could say, well, this one's going to be view only, and I'm not going to set an expiration date. So I can apply. It creates this link. So I just created a link for Alex. If I want to share this link, see, this one Alex didn't get an email for. I just simply created the link for Alex. Nothing really happened with it yet. So what I might want to do is actually go to Teams and maybe send Alex a chat. I could go find them in here. And I could literally just paste that link in there and send it. See, personal, jhood, this is how I can tell it's a OneDrive file. So that's a great way to share, is to create certain types of links, and then you could send it in an email, you could text it to them, you could put it in a chat, send it in a LinkedIn message, whatever works. There are a few different other ways that you can share a OneDrive file though, so it can feel kind of confusing. For this demo, what I wanted to show was from OneDrive, there are two main ways to share. Let me check the box. You can either share with direct access and add that person and send them an email, or you see the icon on the top, copy link, which is also the same here, copy link. And when you hover over it, we can see anyone with the link can edit. Again, that's the default for this. It's a best practice to actually click on the settings and then make any changes, modify, or create new links from here. And then hit apply, and then you can use those. So direct access, copy link. And you don't have to use the top part if you don't want to. You can hover over a file even if you don't check it, and click on the three dots, more actions, and open. In Teams, in the browser, in the app, you can even change the default, so every time it opens in your favorite place to work. That's pretty cool, actually. You can copy a link from here and share, and also manage access. If I choose that, it's going to bring me to that same dialog box, which I love. I can see people, I can see the links I created, I can modify those links. Click the back arrow here, or I can remove that link. If I hit stop sharing, totally stop sharing to everyone in every way. So that's a hard stop if you want. But you can share with individuals inside or outside the company groups. If you're sharing with a group like the marketing team, sometimes it's a good idea to actually just place that file or move it or copy it from here. And actually on the top, we have choices, move to or copy to. So maybe I finish this blog and Lynn and Alex help me out with it. I would not want to download it and then re-upload it. I would actually want to keep it in the cloud and then either move to or copy to. I'm going to say move to. And this is moving into SharePoint, so I'm going to actually just put that in the general for sales and marketing, maybe with my other blogs from previous months. And it's asking me, do you want to keep sharing with the same people? Because what I'm doing right now is moving a document kind of in its life cycle and its journey from OneDrive to a shared location. So that's like the third choice. Do you want to share direct access? Do you want to share a link? Or do you want to just send it to SharePoint so everyone in sales and marketing has access to it? And then it kind of says, hey, do you want to keep sharing with those people because they might not be in the same group? They might not be in sales and marketing. So I could check that or not and then move it. So what that does, look, it's going to take it right out of my OneDrive. This is a great way to manage OneDrive files. And I'll let that do its thing. I'll show you. It's going to populate in the sales and marketing part. And that it's like, just kidding. I'm going to actually go over here. Oh, it worked. It said it didn't work, and then it did. Thanks for bearing with my practice environment here. So that's out of my OneDrive. And check this out. I'm going to go to SharePoint, even though I'm in OneDrive. And look, there it is. So it moved into general. That's the idea anyway. So you can move it or copy it. That way we're keeping it in the Microsoft cloud, and we're managing our OneDrive files without having to download or have multiple versions. Now, to wrap it up, a lot of you are using Outlook, obviously, to work with people both inside but a lot of times outside your organization. From here, yes, you can access your OneDrive and go to your files and share things from here. This is it's like the OneDrive app inside of another app. But check this out. If I go to the mail space and I do a new mail, I'm going to do a new message. Here, we can attach a file, and we're going to see a different, as long as you're in as here in Outlook, look, it's got OneDrive and SharePoint as a connected service. So what that means is you can access your OneDrive files from here. And if you create a new message here, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to attach a file, and I'm going to browse web locations and get to my OneDrive. Check it out. I actually have all of those files. I know these are OneDrive files, and I can share this Excel doc, for example. What that did was actually save it with a 14 kilobyte. Like, this is an actual file of size. So you want to make sure that you upload it. Usually that will be automatic, but that's okay. It's actually a good example of right-clicking and seeing you've got extra choices when it's a cloud document. So you can manage access and manage the permissions. You can remove the hyperlink completely, but look, if I manage access, check it. It's the same look and feel as I mentioned for link settings. Default being anyone. I'm like, well, I actually only want recipients of this message to have access to that file. All right, cool. I can check that. And I want them to be able to edit. So that's great. I can apply that. And it's giving me some information about it. So that's great, because now I can go in here and say, thank you at Lynn and at Alex for your help. And I'm just going to put a subject very quickly here. Audit info. All right, so I've got this document. I can just send that off. And because I mentioned them and I put the permission in such a way that only recipients of the message have access, there we go. So even if you drag and drop a file into Outlook, if you use Outlook on the web or the full version, you always have that opportunity to right-click on it and actually manage that access. And in this case, Lynn wouldn't manage access. She would access it and check it out. She has permission. Alex has permission as well. And we can co-author, collaborate on that. So using OneDrive and Outlook is pretty cool. And just one part about dragging and dropping. If you see a number there, that does mean that it is an actual file that's taking up space. So you may want to just choose upload. That's going to put it on your OneDrive for you automatically. All right, well, hopefully this is helpful. If people have additional questions, please let us know. I understand. I tried to make sure that something went wrong there, that I was being as clear as I could. There are so many different ways to do the same things. I wanted to show you a variety of different things that might be helpful for you that you could maybe build into your workflow. But if something doesn't make sense or you want a little more clarification, please let us know. But thank you, everyone. Brad, I know you want to say a few things on the way out. I want to leave some time.
All right. Thank you, John. Appreciate that very informative presentation. I'm sure everyone enjoyed it. And I appreciate everyone sticking with us today. I hope it's given you a clearer understanding of how OneDrive can help you work more efficiently and collaborate more effectively. If you are not yet a client and would like to explore how virtual IT can help you with your specific IT needs, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're always here to help. If you are a current client and you have some questions about how to make better use of these tools, just call the help desk. They're here and ready to assist you. Also, keep an eye on your inbox for a follow-up email that will include a link to the recording of the webinar. And then a short note that our final webinar in this series will be on October 15th. It's entitled SharePoint, the Site Use. Thanks again for your time. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Brad. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you next time.